cartridge. Yes. Okay. Oh, podcast 36 of the Overkill podcast. I'm Meta with, of course, Kirby.
It's your boy.
I always like these intros to get more and more unhinged.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're back. Time for more news.
Yeah. For our first story, we got the Space Marine developer saying the most base thing ever. He said, "Oh my, these cats." He says, or he admits that games at Embracer made him want to cry with their overblown attempts at messaging and imposing morals on gamers, and
Based.
this triggered the response from the big leftists on Twitter. They're really angry at him for saying this, and he just added that most gamers just want to play and shoot stuff and have fun and don't really care about all the politics. And I think we're seeing this with games like Dustborn and Concord, that people are finally beginning to be fed up with really any messaging,
Yes.
And he also later said that he hopes that Space Marine 2 and Black Myth Wukong will start a revival in the industry, going back to fun and immersion.
Based. Was this in response to anything in particular, or just?
I think it was just in response. It was in response to, I guess, the game's success, and he just kind of wanted to state why he believes it succeeded in over other games. But
Well, all the memes that I've ever seen for Space Marines has been like it's been like some soy game or something, or like some like DEI movie where like all the libs are like woohoo, and then everyone else is like the Chad meme, looking at it being like, yes, this game, Space Marines. So I mean, it's definitely been probably the poster child for anti wokeness. I mean, let's be honest, politics in games is always left leaning now. So yeah.
So it was just the CEO of Saber Interactive, the people who made Space Marine 2, named Matthew Karch. You guys say it? He just said that he was not a fan of developers making overblown attempts at messaging and imposing morals. And then on the Asmongold,
Cats.
Asmongold made a video. Space Marine 2 is a reminder of what we lost, and Karch made his opinion clear. Hey man, CEO of Saber here. I love your videos. When we signed the deal to make Space Marine 2, all I wanted was a throwback game, and we had a chance to work on something which by its nature was old school. And I haven't been able to play the game yet, but just from what I've seen, it does remind me a lot of like that old school Gears of War kind of Halo vibe to it, mixed with like a that like Crusader aesthetic that Space Marine has.
No, it looks like a Gears of War game to me.
Yeah.
With the
it's really
Warhammer aesthetic.
Yeah, it's really cool. I kind of watched a review on it, and you do get to play like different classes and stuff. So it's not just like Gears of War. You can go like more melee, or you can like sit back and play the sniper, or you can do like more all-rounder kind of thing. It's really interesting. We'll definitely have to try it out at some point.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think I want to get it. It looks really fun.
Based.
And then I didn't know they were that based. I mean, I knew the Warhammer guys were pretty based. I just didn't know they were that based. No.
Oh yeah, no. It's funny. You can, if you look up like a picture for for the developers, like what their team looks like.
Yeah.
It's like it's just a bunch of white dudes who look pretty normal.
Oh, that's why the game is good, huh? Okay. People that look normal made it. Holy shit. People that don't look like they spend all day on Twitter yelling about various rights and groups. Wow, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Whenever you know how to create something instead of criticizing everything. Wild, dude. Anywho, I guess we'll go back to a woke story that I find interesting. Assassin's Creed has been delayed. The new one, the one with the black samurai. They were going to show it off at a Japanese game convention, from what I remember earlier in the week, and people started complaining. And now they have pushed back its release, especially given their other release of Concord. So they've you know, I think people are holding back just a little bit before they go full bore on them. It's, man, where is the date? I lost the date where it's getting delayed to. Wow. Well, Ubisoft's been falling. Their shares have fallen 19% since November of 2013. They said the game was initially planned for November. The company said it needed more time to improve the game after the recent Star Wars release. And then, of course, there's been a bunch of releases that haven't done well. Damn it, cat. I'm going to lose it. And they have pushed it back. I guess they haven't given us a new date. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh no, it says it'll now debut on February 14th, 2025.
Oh, okay. So there was a date in there.
Yeah, but it was gonna come out this November.
Crazy.
So they basically just delayed it for 3 months. I mean, usually whenever this happens, I don't think there's that much progress that really comes out of, a 3-month delay.
No, none at all. If they didn't get it done by now, they're never gonna get it done.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they can squash some bugs out, but that's about it.
I think the other controversy is there has been this chibi figure released for Shadows in Japan, and it is the girl sitting on top of like this half broken what's the word I'm looking for, like shrine gate, and the guy in front of it. The shrine is actually, it looks exactly like the shrine named the Sano Shrine. And this is a one-legged arch that they've left up, and it is a result of the atomic bombs in 1945. And in this chibi art, they're sitting on it. Anyways, that also caused some heat on the game. Oh, goodness. I'm trying to find the chibi art. I know you haven't seen it yet, but it looks just like that. It's just in the little chibi figurine. It's just made out of wood.
Gotcha.
Instead of concrete.
Yeah, I mean, this...
Did Ubisoft scrub this?
Trying to memory hole it.
Dude, it's impossible to find an image of this. Like, it's been removed off all these websites. Here we go. I found one eventually.
Gotcha.
Goodness.
Interesting.
But yeah, if y'all look up, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Yusuke and Naoe, PVC figure, you'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, they've been in some heat. They've been in some heat for that. I guess
Yeah.
while we're here,
I mean,
because I want to.
I'm interested. I always thought that an Assassin's Creed game should be set in Japan.
Me too.
But I don't know. I mean, everything that comes out about this game has been pretty negative. And on top of that, like, I feel like Ubisoft they've like run their course with every like game they have.
Mm-hmm.
They've just pumped out more and more of like the same.
More and more slop. Yeah.
I think the only thing that like keeps Ubisoft afloat at this point is like Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh, a million
And
percent.
even then, like that game's so old and they don't really support it as much. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see.
We will.
I don't have big hopes for our for Assassin's Creed.
I don't either. I think it'll just be another Assassin's Creed game, and given how the other Assassin's Creed games have been, and they were supposed to be my favorite, I love like Greek mythology. Norse mythology is okay, but I really love Greek mythology, and I didn't think those two games were that great. They had the theming, they just didn't. I don't know. They just weren't interesting to play. I don't know. I would like to skip to I would like to do a back-to-back story because I want to leave the last point. I want to talk about Overwatch 2 at the end. So, just a quick one. The Nintendo Museum in Japan is now open. It looks really cool. If y'all Google it, GameSpot actually coming through for once. It's in Kyoto, and it looks really cool. You walk in, it's all white, gray, and like a light wood. It's really pretty. You walk in, you can see all these Mario blocks and textures that they've blown up. They have made these giant controllers for the GameCube, for the N64, for Wii, for Famicom, right? For all these consoles, the SNES and NES. They have special edition Nintendo 64s still in the box. They have the gold, the orange, the clear see-through. They have one of every single like N64 controller. They have all the games with like pristine boxes, and they have like a wall of art. They have a cool little like cafe eating area that is like designed with Mario blocks. A lot of Mario blocks, obviously. I think the coolest section of the museum is there are these giant, besides of course the N64 section, which is all that really matters. There are these giant controllers that are placed in front of a screen, and you can play with them. So you have like if you go there with someone else, like if you play like a NES game, one person's on the giant D-pad and the other person's on A and B. And they have like a giant N64 controller that you can play Super Mario with. They have a giant Wii remote that you can like tilt. It looks super fucking cool.
This is impressive.
Yeah, it's a little gem I found this morning, and I was like, oh, this is sick. But yeah, y'all should definitely look up pictures of this. They have like different themed Mario rooms. They have like water and lava and just I don't know. There's just all sorts of cool little stuff. That little like I almost want to say knowledge checks, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Wow.
They also sell like a T-shirt for every single console ever released. They went hard. What's interesting is it looks like you can buy in the store. Oh no, that's not a console. Okay, I was about to say, are they re-releasing consoles that you can go buy there? That's crazy. They have like a little arts and craft area. I don't know what the, I don't know what the like ultimate goal is with this, but
Oh, they have like an area where we can play some sort of like card game. I think it's with the
yeah.
like old Nintendo cards from like before they were a game company, or
Hmm.
video game. They manufactured cards, and I think you can actually play the like card game they made for the you
Yeah, it
know
looks like it's made for the museum.
oh, maybe.
Nintendo specific.
Well, I think it was like a card game that they made themselves,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
like back in the day. Yeah.
Based. I will say they also have an area where you can play with normal size controllers, but I will say the giant controllers is something crazy enough that Nintendo would do.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing is like the aerial shot of the buildings.
Oh
One
yeah.
at the top of one building it has a Mario block, and then like on the concrete down below it has like a mushroom and Lakitu and coins and Goombas. Wow,
I think it's really cool. If I
they
go to
designed
Japan,
it.
I definitely would like to stop by here.
Yeah, it's a lot
I
of
got to play on the
detail.
giant N64 controller.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I need to.
Cause like one person's on the stick, the other is on the A and B.
I want to. I want to feel that stick.
Boom.
I wonder if it's a tight stick. What if it has a little wobble to it? That would be funny. Okay.
Yeah, like the actual controllers.
They
Dude. Like
add in the wobble.
they made the controller exactly the same how it was.
It's just giant.
uh,
I don't know. I'm excited. I know me and a friend are planning on going to Japan in a couple years, so I don't know if you want to join us on that, but
Dude,
I would
absolutely. If
love
we
to
go
go
here,
here.
bro,
Yeah.
I'm
In
a big
fact,
gamer. So
yeah. And if we do, we'll do like a whole podcast episode on it, probably showing pictures and stuff for the play. It's so cool. I I would love to go here. The
yeah,
guy that wants to go to Japan, he's in a rush. He's in a rush to go. He's like, we gotta go. We gotta go next year. I'm like, dude, it's expensive. Like, for a trip like this, you probably want like 2,500 to like 3,000, and that like the plane ticket's gonna eat up like $1,000 of that, right?
yeah,
So,
dude, you can get a Wii U shirt, dude.
based.
I would get a Wii U shirt, and then people are like, "What?
I know you would.
What even is that?"
And then a few years later, we're gonna go to Germany, but I want to go to Japan first.
Based.
This is in Kyoto. Gotta go to Kyoto. Okay. Well, yeah, I figured you would like that, and I encourage everyone that's listening to this, just Google the pictures right now on your phone or whatever. You will be thoroughly shook. Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't even like museums that much. I just think it's so cool.
Based. Well, I guess we can move on to our next story.
Yeah.
This one, coming in to Black Ops 6, they gave us a little bit of a blog post. It was about 4 days ago. 5 days ago from the video upload. And it was just kind of going over the rest of the multiplayer maps and giving us a good like overview of all of them. To me, most of these maps seem like medium-ish size. So I think a lot of the beta maps were on the smaller side. The only maps that are very small are Subsonic, which is, it seems to me to be like Treyarch's version of Shipment. It's very small. It kind of has like a square layout to it. And the last map they showed was Warhead, which is actually a strike map. So it's supposed to be 2v2, but it can be played 6v6. And it's the destroyed version of Nuketown. So in terms of layout, I don't like Warhead. I think Subsonic's gonna be okay. And then most of the other maps have like a semi 3 lane. Maybe they go into like 4 lanes or 5 sometimes, but I mean that's kind of
Okay.
how I think. I think this game's map design
This is
overall
looking
is going to
promising.
be. Hmm?
I said this is looking promising from everything you're saying. I mean, as far as
Yeah,
like
I
map
mean,
design.
I think with the new Treyarch team, they definitely favor maps that are not as 3 lane as the old Treyarch, and I think that's
Yeah.
fine as long as it plays well. And we haven't had much. We obviously we haven't even gotten to play these maps yet, so
No.
we'll still have to see
I dig some of these
how they
maps though.
play. Yeah. Um,
They've got like this dark, like Soviet feeling to them, if that makes any sense. A lot of
yeah.
like the Black Ops One aesthetic.
I think these maps will be pretty good because in my opinion the worst Treyarch game that or the worst like maps in a Treyarch game is like Black Ops 4 for me.
Mm.
I felt like the
Hmm.
maps were they were either 2 3 lane or they were like they had too many power positions in the three
Right.
lane map, and I don't know, I just didn't find that fun. But besides that, they kind of gave us a little bit more news on on some of the changes. So they fixed some of the spawns. They want to make sure that whenever you spawn, you're not in immediate danger. And some of the beta maps, especially Babylon, had those issues where you would spawn in front of people, or people would
Yes.
spawn in front of you. It was just weird. Um, they also kind of went over performance. They seemed to have solved the issue with the hitching and the texture streaming, which I believe is has something to do with it downloading textures while you're playing. So maybe I hope they just have it to where you can turn it off in the full game. We'll have to see on that, but um, let's see. Headshot damage. They wanted to make sure that landing headshots is a priority, but it isn't something where if you land one, it'll like instantly kill someone, right? It'll like make your time to kill super fast. So they want to
Right.
make sure that if you land consistent, like let's say 2 or 3 headshots, then you'll get a TTK, shortening. So it doesn't feel inconsistent. Because like I know in Modern Warfare 2, the headshot damage was way too much to where sometimes it would feel like you could take a lot of damage, and then other times it was like you would instant be dead.
Yes.
And
1,000,000%.
so they're kind of trying to reduce that. Also, there seemed to be they also said there seemed to be some bullet penetration issues where some surfaces like that were metal you could shoot through, and then surfaces that were wood you couldn't shoot through. So they're trying to make it more like consistent.
1,000,000%. Yeah, there were.
And then lastly, they just kind of came in. I think the biggest thing is they came in with a lot of sort of just fluidity improvements with the movement. So for instance, like the ADS on the sniper to me always felt weird in the game, but they said they improved it for the sniper rifles, and I don't know. There's also some reduction in like motion stuff, so that way maybe hopefully this game won't feel as like motion sick. It won't give, because I don't know if you got to play enough, but it did give me a little bit of motion sickness, not a ton, but I think people who have worse, however you could say, like worse motion sickness, they could definitely benefit from not having the camera like flare around as much. But let's see.
1,000,000%. It did make me a little nauseous. I wish I could turn down that sway. I do have one question though. So let's say, for example, you can stop texture streaming and download all the textures. If those extra textures are like an extra 100 gigs, do you still do it? I would.
What, turn it off? Yeah, I would turn it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, I would totally take that extra like file size just to not stream them.
Mm-hmm. They reduced the winner circle time, which I'm fine with. I think it should be a thing where you should be able to get into a ton of matches really quickly. And the winner circle, in my opinion, they should just remove it altogether, and just have it be like a scoreboard at the end of the game.
Uh-huh.
And then they came in with more motion. So the camera movement, they're reducing the overall camera motion during sprint, tack sprint, and slide. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's overall it's been a good update. I'm excited for launch. I don't know how meta feels, but yeah.
I don't know about excited. I'm just kind of milquetoast on it. It's another Call of Duty game, but it looks like it's on the upper half of greatness and not the lower half for now. So that's honestly, with COD, that's all I can ask for these days. Dude, I don't have a lot of faith in it. Although from what I did play of your beta, it seemed pretty good. All right.
Yeah.
So this story is just interesting, and I fully agree with them. And I knew this was kind of a problem, but if you're not in if you're not in Europe or you're not in the UK, a pop-up on Steam showed up. Let's see, a couple days ago, and it basically said, you got to opt into these new terms. And what had happened is a bunch of people had been filing arbitration. Sorry, boys. Yeah, okay. A bunch of people have been filing arbitration lawsuits, and if you don't know what that is, that's essentially like a kind of like an out-of-court, I guess you could say, settlement agreement. It's kind of like a settlement agreement without the threat of going to court, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And they're really informal. They, compared to seeing a judge, they hold just as much weight. So whatever the decision the arbitrator makes, or if you make a decision before it gets to the arbitrator, that decision usually holds up no matter what. And the issue is that these cases can really take a long time, and they do require a lawyer to be present. So in the U.S., you used to actually be able... before 2022, a lot of sexual assault cases actually were solved with arbitration, which is probably not great. You probably want those to go to court. The issue with these lawsuits, if we're going to relate it back to Steam, is, they don't have juries, and they don't necessarily have anyone else involved other than the arbitrator and then a party from each, side. Essentially, these cases can stack up, and you can have thousands of people climb onto the same arbitration suit. It's like a class action lawsuit, but it's like a class action arbitration, if you want to think about it that way. So let's say Steam does something, or let's say Valve does something, they promise a game, and then the game comes out and it's not what investors wanted. Well, all 2,000 investors can jump on and do an arbitration suit. The issue with this is you have to do it one by one by one by one. So unlike a class action where everyone gets paid out the same amount, an arbitration is like case by case, from what I understand. And so, that means that you can be paying this person, $1,000, and then the next person like 10 grand, and then the next person, right? And so by the end of it, you're just bleeding money every day that one of these cases is decided, and you're paying people off. And I believe that that is the case. So what Valve and Steam have done now is they basically say, we're not taking anything to arbitration. There is no more going to arbitration. If you're going to sue us, you're going to take us to court. And we're willing to go to court over arbitration, because at least then, if a bunch of people want to file a suit and get money, it has to be an equal payout, and they don't have to do 5 million different cases for, one thing that they get sued over. Did that make sense?
Yeah, that was a long explanation. It's too many.
I got
I'm
really
not into
excited
all the
about
law
this.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I got really excited about this because I think it's really interesting, like why a company would make this decision. And yeah, there's been like here's for example. Here we go. This is interesting. Reuters late last year, Valve filed a lawsuit against Zyger, I assume that's a person, a small law firm that had alleged antitrust violations on behalf of more than 50,000 customers of Valve's game distribution platform, Steam. So you see this this lawsuit. These small law firms can just gather up a bunch of people and then just cause hell. It's much better just to take them to court and fight it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you won't get anything from these companies if you're acting normally. I like it. I think it's very interesting, and I like that they're standing up for themselves. I think people often try to get money from large companies, and I'm not saying you should feel bad for large companies. Not all of them are good, but it's kind of shitty to like look for problems where none exist.
Yeah.
Anywho, that was long.
Well, for our last little tangent here,
oh boy.
we finally came back to Overwatch 2, baby.
Oh man.
In anticipation for the 6v6 test that I believe a lot of the Overwatch content creators are saying they're going to happen next season, so in about like a month.
Talk about a mistake.
Yeah, which I hope it's a big I hope it's a big resurgence whenever 6v6 comes out, but to me it's kind of funny because they've made all these like changes to help with 5v5, and they've like tried to balance the game around it, and then now they're just gonna have to like revert everything and find a way to like stitch it all back together, and whenever they could have just kept the format. And I don't know if you know this, but like the main reason they switched from 6v6 to 5v5 is because in the pro scene, all of the before Overwatch before the Overwatch League dissolved, all of the like pro or all the team like leads of the pros, they all wanted it to go to 5v5 because then it's one less player to have to pay. And so now that's going back to 6v6 and the Overwatch League is dissolved, there's that is all for nothing really, the whole format change. So it's really been arbitrary, but yeah, I don't know. Playing it, I play support. It's just rough to not have another tank to like be able to not like kite for you, but be able to like get people off you. And whenever you just have one tank, he can only be in one position, and so he can't be doing everything, and sometimes you get kind of left behind, and that's one thing that I don't like about 5v5. But I've been yapping to you can take it from here.
We're fighting with these cats. Yeah, no, I fully agree with everything you said. This is something that you and I have talked about a lot, just not on the pod, but in general. I think Overwatch suffered immensely with the format change over to 5v5 because of what you were saying. The fact that a lot of the maps, too, that they were using were designed with 2 tanks in mind. So, a typical map maybe has, let's say, 3 choke points on average, right? Well, if you only have 1 tank, it essentially becomes flank and kill the tank, or just kill the tank straight on and then just push through. So that basically makes like 3 friction points. The games end so quickly because what happens is there'll be some skirmishes, the tank will die, then it becomes TDM, It becomes team deathmatch, and then whoever wins the team deathmatch either holds the point or loses the point. With 2 tanks, you get a little bit of insurance, even if one of them is not like a shielder, which I know you're kind of talking about. And so the game all of a sudden lasts longer. It's more enjoyable, more satisfying. And as a tank, you have some help, and you're not the backbone of your team. But I think the biggest change that removing 6v6 had is the character balance, in that tanks became such a good, and they still are, tanks became so powerful that honestly, I think they play a bigger role than ADC or support ever would in a 5v5 format, because their abilities are so much better. Like if you were to rate all the other characters on like a power level, let's say they all rank like a 5 to like 8, right? Well, I think the tanks in power level rank like 7 to 10, right? I think the tanks are the best characters in the game, and that's fine if you want to do it that way. But whenever you only have one of them, it's basically whoever giant falls first. I mean, you're at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah,
I just don't like it.
Yeah, they've basically made like tanks like a raid boss, and the supports are basically supposed to pump heals into them. And,
Yeah.
That's basically the game now.
Um,
And I will say one thing too with 5v5, they did show a graph whenever they talked about it in the 6v6 blog. They showed a graph of the average wait time, or the average queue time in Overwatch 1 versus Overwatch 2, and it is down, right? Whenever you have one less player to match with, well, really you're looking for 2 less players, right? So you go from looking for 12 players to play with to 10. You do see a queue difference, but I also wonder, are they taking Overwatch stats from like the end of the game? Like, are they taking stats from whenever the game came out in 2016 to 2022? Are they only taking it from like 2020 to 2022 whenever the game was on like life support mode, right? And so I wonder if like that's what they're taking the stats from, and then are they comparing it to like Overwatch 2 launch to now?
right.
Like, what are the time frames on those, on like when the queue times were made, Because you can easily,
I would like to know
fake,
as well. I mean,
you can easily kind of show data, or fake statistics if
yeah.
you cherry pick when the time was, and so
Of course,
I don't know if
what
that's really an
politics
argument.
does.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's really an argument for 6v6 or against it, because I wonder what time frame that was. But
Yeah, I'm also curious on what that is. And to be honest, I would take a increased queue time over having to do play a 5v5, because the game's unplayable in 5v5. I don't really care what anyone says. It's unplayable.
yeah, it's not as good. Yeah, I think I would take the queue time bump, because it really, for most of the roles besides damage, is it's about a maybe 30% more queue time for tank, and then I think for support it's like maybe like 2/3 more of queue time, and then for damage it's like 3 times if it's in 6v6. The problem is that like everyone wants to play damage. I wonder, maybe if we don't do it, maybe if we do 6v6 but we do 2 tank, or we do 1 tank, 3 DPS, 2 supports, would that work better? There are different formats that you could try, but
I mean, I guess it would just shorten the game mode even further, and I think it would become more of a team deathmatch with an extra damage, but maybe not. Maybe not.
yeah. Also, I think my favorite idea is Flats has said, what if we go to 7v7 and we do 2 tanks, 3 DPS, 2 supports?
I actually
And
would like that.
Interesting.
I actually would
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I don't know if that would exacerbate the queue times as much, but
Well, anything's better than a dead game. So, queue times or not, I mean, you'd rather have the
yeah.
game live. So, I don't, I don't know how well Overwatch 2 is doing, but probably still not hot, right? They're not going to be honest with their player numbers. Let's see if I can find.
I think on Steam chart they have like 20,000 people playing.
Oof.
Which is not horrible. It's not. I mean, it's not 5,000, right? But it's not
Well,
great
it's
either.
more than you would think on Steam.
Yeah.
It has a 24-hour peak of 54K, a all-time peak of 75K, and there are 44K on right now. And you do have to remember this is only Steam. I imagine a lot more people play it through the Battle.net launcher.
Yeah. Well,
which I think you have to have the Battle.net launcher anyways if you have it through Steam. But okay.
no, I think you just have to link your account.
Oh, really? But
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That don't make no sense. I said it don't make no sense.
Yeah.
Steam says I have an account alert. Uh-oh. What is it?
Well, I think that's about it for the podcast.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been an awesome podcast.
It has
See you in the next one, boys. Peace.
Adios.
Yeah.